Let's talk about cicadas, bugs, insects. They are on their way. All right. I don't know if you guys know what cicadas are, but they're very interesting, and they are loud. Check this out. Cicada invasion. They are back. Let's see here. Back in 2004, Mean Girls was playing in theaters. Yeah by Usher was topping the Billboard's music charts. I don't even know that song. I probably will recognize it, but... And I never saw Mean Girls. That first line means absolutely nothing to me. Let's see. Small holes in the ground were opening up from which billions of bulky red-eyed winged insects would emerge, readying for a bacchanal of singing and mating and reminding humans of a horror movie. It really was terrifying. I lived through this. Crazy. Summer of 2004 waned, so did the lifespan, just a few weeks long, of these adult cicadas, and the larvae of the next generation dropped back to the earth where they would spend the next 17 years. This spring, 17 years later, those cicadas are part of Brood X. Ominous as the X sounds, it stands for the Roman numeral 10. For all of that time, they have been underground, eating and growing. Researchers aren't sure exactly how many will surface, except that it will be in the billions. You heard me correctly. That is billions with a B, billions of cicadas. They estimate the numbers will be at least 1.5 million per acre. Per acre. 1.5 million per acre. That's right, which could mean as many as 30 of the creatures covering your average square foot. 30 in this space right here. Look at this gap. You guys see this? 30 of these guys, and they're not big, or they're not small. They're like this big. The cicadas. They're pretty big. It's pretty insane. Let's see here. Wow, that's going to be a lot. Brood X, sometimes referred to as the Great Eastern Brood, is among the largest in terms of geographical areas in the North America, according to the University of Connecticut's Cicada Mapping Project. You know what? I didn't actually click on that, and I want to see if they actually have a map. They don't have a map, but that's okay. I saw a map, and I could just kind of give you a reference. It goes as far west as maybe Iowa, down to maybe the north tip of Texas, and then almost the entire East Coast. So it goes that whole area, basically the entire eastern seaboard there's going to be basically covered in billions of these cicadas. The billions of bugs will come out, scientists say, when conditions are just right, when the soil is 64 degrees and on a night that's humid enough, but free of wind and rain. According to John Cooley, who runs the periodical Cicada Mapping Project at the University of Connecticut, they start very pale and very small, even as small as a grain of rice. But once the cicadas are above ground, they grow, and they grow fast. They're going to emerge from that hole and go climb up some vegetation and undergo their final molt to human form. That molting process takes about an hour, and newly emerged adult will be very pale when it comes out, Cooley said. And over the next couple of hours, it'll finish very quickly, finish expanding its body, then dark enough to have its adult colors. After that, the cicadas spend about a week maturing. Once fully grown, their primary objective is, you guessed it, mating. Their quest to procreate is precipitated by a loud signature song. Male cicadas generate sounds with tymbals, an organ that generates sound when it contracts. The hollow body amplifies the sound. According to the project to prevent hearing in children loss, sponsored by the National Institutes of Health, cicada choruses can reach 90 decibels. And the ordinances of District of Columbia, the epicenter of the brood, say any sound over 70 decibels is considered a disturbance. This one's great. This might be enough to drown out the political noise in Washington. Highly doubt it. Highly doubt it. And you might recognize this is the shell of the cicada that you might find being all over the place. And because cicadas, this isn't the only type of cicada. Cicadas are always around, but these are a specific type of cicada. Males sing to entice females, of course, and Jenna Jaden, who has researched the insects at the University of Maryland, likens the sound to human mating rituals. Oh. It's like a bunch of guys at a frat party. They're all singing some cheesy party song, and the college sophomore girl sees the guy and she winks at him. So that's the female cicada's click. And so so then he starts going, hey baby, it continues faster and faster, and then they find each other. I don't know if it's all at all the same there, Jaden. That's a little weird, to be honest. After all the singing and clicking, the cicadas mate and the females lay eggs in trees and other plants. Then after about 4 to 6 weeks of life above ground, the party ends with dead adult cicadas and molted exoskeletons littered literally everywhere, and the next generation of cicada larvae heading back underground. Although cicada invade in great volume to overwhelm the appetites of predators, they are harmless, don't bite or sting, and aren't toxic. In fact, Jaden says, they can make tasty treats. Wait, what? I'm sorry, what now? That's right, you can eat them. She says the insects can substitute for nuts or raisins in traditional recipes, and notes that around the world eating insects is common and can be sustainable and accessible form of nutrition. She concedes, however, that raw cicadas can taste a bit bitter. However, if you've cooked them, they basically take on the flavor of whatever they're cooked in, Jaden says. So I like them dipped in chocolate. I'm sure you do. I like them fried with batter or just fried plain with a little bit of spice on them. Oh, interesting. Jaden says it's best to eat young cicadas recently emerged from the ground, but also cautions that the insects might not be organic if they've been living in areas treated by fertilizers and pesticides. They might not be organic, people. All right, make sure if you're going to eat the cicadas, if you want organic cicadas, that they haven't emerged from a place full of fertilizers. I'm sorry, I couldn't do it with a straight face. Despite their huge numbers, they shouldn't do much physical damage. Cooley does recommend that people put netting over any younger or delicate trees because cicadas can do damage to branches as they lay eggs and feed. He also cautions against using any pesticide or repellent, noting it would take a lot of chemicals to ward off so many insects. Instead, Cooley urges people to appreciate the once-in-a-17-year experience and the cicada songs that won't be heard again until 2038. I think the thing to really do is to sit back and enjoy and learn and understand. This is really quite a unique thing. There are lots of species of cicadas in the world, but there are not many periodical cicada species, so this is kind of a special thing. In other words, get used to it. Now, I lived in this. I remember the last time they were out, and you can't get used to it. All right, it is ever present. You can almost feel the sound, and it is oppressive. It's very loud. We are surrounded by a forest here in where we're at in Maryland, and it is quite loud. Or it will be, I'm sure, because we're surrounded by forest. And it's going to be insane. Now, I'll tell you what, I'm probably not going to eat them. I'm not really interested in eating bugs. We live in a world where we don't need to eat bugs. And yeah, maybe one day. I just want to let everyone know about noise pollution because it literally can hurt your ears. 90 decibels at a constant 6 to 8 week continuous sound. It might do some damage. So maybe be a little wary of that because it could actually damage your ears. They say sounds that reach 85 decibels or higher can harm a person's ears. Okay, so if you're going to be living in an area with these cicadas, look, I lived it. They are very loud. In fact, there's so many cicadas when these guys come out that you drive down the street and you're killing hundreds of thousands going a couple miles. I'm not joking. The road moves with cicadas. There's that many. It's craziness. And in some areas, there's less. Some areas, there's a lot more. So you might go through a neighborhood where there's more woods, more areas where they can live without being disturbed. So they'll come out. And it is insane. So it is something to behold, though. So get out and enjoy it. Hopefully you don't live in an area that is too infested with these things because they are loud. Make sure you close all your windows. Make sure you, that's all you really can do is try to keep them out. It's insane. So, yeah. So we'll see. I'm probably going to take a couple videos because if it's as loud as I remember it being, it's going to be nuts.